All right, guys, welcome to the London session on TopstepTV. We've got Coach Ray joining us here this morning, which is great because my voice is probably going to croak at some point. I am actually better, but I sound a lot worse. Hi, Ray. It's very
Hey,
late where you are. How are you doing?
yes, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for, all good. It's a little dark outside, but we'll manage.
That's great. All right, so what are we looking at today?
Well, I was kind of taking a peek at crude oil, and it's coming up on an area where we might want to consider fading it. It's been bearish for some time now. We're coming up into an area around settlement price, around maybe the top end of value, and
Yep.
maybe there might create a little area here where we might be able to reverse. I'm not sure. I'm kind of waiting for some maybe price action, some candle formations to kind of indicate that maybe it's a possibility. So,
Yeah, so let me have a look at the options levels as well, just to see if there's anything interesting happening there.
mhm.
All right, so we have a put support and 0DT puts around 70 evens.
Mm.
So if shorts do show up, that would be a viable target. And that would kind of go along with earlier value acceptance that I saw, because we have a
Yeah.
London value high up at 1010. Sorry, no, this is platinum. I'm looking at the wrong chart. Yay, D. Hold on.
Wow.
Wow, yes. Don't trade when you're ill. That's
Yes.
step number one. All right, yes. So, yes, you're right. There are some levels up here, and not the value acceptance, though, because we are, well, I suppose it is, but it's to the upside.
Yeah.
However, there is an HVL level, which can be either a springboard or a reversal point. So, yeah, I
Hmm.
definitely want to see what happens around 7067.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's would be an excellent location for potential reversal. Like
Yeah.
I said, I see settlement price and I see value area high from New York there.
Yeah.
So,
So with the London values, we have London value low at 7030. So we've obviously overshot
hmm
into a value acceptance. And then the value high is all the way up at 1794. So close to that 71 evens area, which is usually where you have some options levels. And yeah, that's exactly where the high volume level 0DT options are located as well. Now, why those levels are important is because you can get a gamma flip. So you go from negative to positive gamma or from positive to negative gamma. So it can be like a springboard, but it can also be a good reversal point, especially at this time of day. It's also rollover. So I've just looked at the CME website,
uh,
and we have some we have like split volume between December and November. So
okay.
that would open up the possibility more for the fade of the move.
Yeah.
So let's see
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
can get some structure here,
Yeah.
and then we can run that. Yes. So what else do you trade, Ray? Because I know you're a bit like me, a bit of a,
Yeah,
you
so
know,
I've been
yeah.
I've been kind of branching out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't always see what you want to see in either crude oil or gold. I had a nice kind of, I guess, value area acceptance trade early on yesterday. I say yesterday is kind of that's kind of
Two
my
two
time.
days ago for me.
Yeah, 2 days ago, possibly. Yeah. It was like a value, it was right on the open. It was a nice value area acceptance in the YM in the Dow.
Yeah, yeah,
And it went in. Well, I think the ES did the same thing,
yeah.
and it traversed through the entire range of value, which made for a very nice trade. So it's not
Nice one.
normally, don't normally trade the initial balance area,
Yeah.
but it was at a location right around the low end of value, and price came inside of value. I said, well, let's give it, as they say in London, let's give it a go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Let's give it a go. Yes.
Yeah.
We're very non-committal here. It's like, should we do it? Yeah, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. Yeah. So I gave
Yeah.
it a go, and it turned out really nice. It didn't, right away, but eventually it traversed through the entire range of value and made for a very nice trade. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm dabbling a little bit more. Not so much Nasdaq. I'm still kind of hate love relationship with the Nasdaq, but ES and YM in particular I've kind of gravitated to a little bit more.
Yeah, so I have a couple of coaching clients who, I mean, you were one of those once.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of them that started off on NASDAQ and
Mm.
then after about a year, they're all just sick and tired of Nasdaq now. So a couple of them are actually trading YM. One
Yeah.
of them is flipping into ES. So they're
Yeah.
all just like, you know what, this is just nonsense. I'm
Right.
tired. So I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
welcome.
Well, Nasdaq moves, and sometimes it moves in ways that you don't. I mean, eventually goes where it needs to go, but
Yeah, there's just a
the
lot
way
of
the way it,
intra-candle nervousness. Yeah.
yeah, the way it goes about getting there is not always conducive to your mental health, for sure.
No, exactly. And let's talk about like the mental side of things as well,
Yeah.
because we had Brett Steenbarger, was it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday, God, no, 2 days ago. I think it was
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah. So he was talking about mental triggers, and I think that's not talked about enough. Everybody's like, oh, I need better levels, I need better
Yeah.
risk management, I need
Yeah.
this, I need that. No, you need to know your triggers, right?
Correct.
That's going to
Correct.
be your, that's why I posted on Twitter, that's going to be the best indicator that you can have to
Right.
prevent you from doing stupid things. What are
Yeah.
the triggers that lead to bad trading decisions? And if you
Correct.
don't know that, no indicator, no level is going to save you. And no
Correct.
risk management, because your risk management is going to go down the pan, right?
Yeah.
Right, we're getting a little bit of weakness here. I don't have bookmap on because I've got a lot of things running here, so I didn't want to overload the broadband.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see, so I'm looking at the 100-tick chart on my screen here. Now, VWAP is right around this area. And
Yes.
we did overshoot by a little bit, but I want to see it go underneath these 9 EMAs that I've got on my chart before we kind of commit to a short.
Yeah.
And like I said, then I would be looking to fade that all the way down to 70s if we can get it. Now, it's London, it's out of hours. Whether we're going to get there, it's always a little bit of a lottery.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
So far, it's just flirting with the 9 EMAs. So it's
Yeah.
still looking a little bit bullish. I wouldn't plop my money in there just yet.
Yes. Save your capital for sure.
Yes,
Capital preservation.
exactly. Capital preservation first. Yes,
Yes. Yes.
absolutely. All right, let's have a look at some other things. What's gold doing? Gold's doing nothing. It's very flat. Somebody
Yeah.
asked me yesterday, how do you know when to trade London or not? Well, this is one of the signs, right? If you start the London session and gold is sort of looking like this, so you have
Yeah.
everything's flat. VWAP, overnight VWAP is just there, so they haven't actually moved it anywhere. In order for me to get involved into a London trade, I need it to be away from VWAP at least,
Right.
or to have done a move overnight, and then Asia is a little bit more active and brings it back up to VWAP or something. That would
Right.
be an option, and that's what crude oil is doing.
Yeah.
Because we had a pretty good volume in the run up to it, and now we're at some levels where it's like, are we doing this?
Yeah.
No, probably not. Let's go down. There's also a thing called Frankie fake out. That happens across the board, everywhere, where it's basically the Frankfurt Exchange opens, and then you have London opening, which is a bigger exchange, so more volume in it. But because you're effectively pushing in the other direction, because they kind of do a stop run through Asia, lows or highs, depends on where we are, and then they reverse it. And a lot of people get caught up in it. They're like, hey, it's breaking out, let's go. And then they get involved, and literally within the first 30 minutes or 60 minutes, it reverses. And they're like, what happened? It looks so good. That's what happened, is the change from one exchange into another that is bigger. And that always happens, even between London and New York, you can have the same thing happening. So it's an interesting thing. So gold is a no.
Yeah.
Platinum was incredibly nice for me yesterday. We had very nice levels down at 1,000. So I did a couple of moves. Had a Twitter troll who was like, that didn't work out so well. And then I looked at my stream and I was like, what are you on about? Like, my entry was at 1,005, not at 1,008. Get some bloody glasses, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got
was nice.
I got beat up by a troll too a little bit.
Oh no.
No, well, not so much in the live kind of pre-market review, but kind of on the outside and asking me to be a little bit more, how we say, I made kind of a vague comment on, some risk management parameter kind of thing, and he wanted me to be more specific. And so, when you make some general comments, you always need to be aware that maybe
Yes.
it might take them in the wrong way. So
Yeah, that's always the case, though, isn't it? With online anything, you post something that you think is quite funny and innocent, and
right,
people are going to find this entertaining and useful. And then you get
correct,
trolls, and you're like,
correct,
what's
correct.
your problem, man? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
really?
absolutely.
All right, so a little bit of weakness here on the 15-minute chart in crude oil, but
Yeah,
still not getting. They're still not doing that much. So what I'm looking for here specifically on my chart is for one of these candles to completely close outside of these 90 EMAs. That's one of the
mm,
timing tools that I like to use.
mm,
And then I will still use a bigger stop loss. So I will still use my disaster stop with 35 ticks. And then
right.
if that works out, I might move it if the structure allows me. But generally, I don't really like moving it. If I see something not working, I will just take it off, and you know that,
Yeah,
Ray.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
do you feel about trading stops, moving stops?
I kind of followed a little bit what you have kind of guided earlier. I'm really more of a, set my stop, and then unless I get to within 10% of my target, then I call that the tip the doorman. Once I get within 10% of my target, I'm willing to tip the doorman to let me out, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Fair enough.
so only until I get within 10% of my target do I actually adjust my stops. So yeah, for me, it's kind of either I hit it, I don't. And if I do get it within 10%, I'm not going to let the kind of the area, because I expect that level to be potentially violent, right? I
Yeah.
expect maybe a potential reversal in that area as well. That I want to get within 10% of that area and kind of clear my way out. And I'm willing to tip the doorman to allow me to do that. So,
Yeah, I have a similar rule, but I use time. So when
mm,
my trade gets to about 75% to the target, so kind of three
yeah,
quarters there,
yeah.
I will actually start looking at the 2R multiples hitting within 3 minutes. And if it
Mhm.
doesn't, I just take it
Mhm.
off.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've had problems taking profits. Like one thing that I've been struggling with, because I traded larger accounts and stuff, and now I'm kind of
Mhm.
back to like smaller accounts, and I
Mhm.
always want more. So I'm like,
Right,
it's
right,
not enough.
right.
So unfortunately, I had to do some digging into my own mental
Yes,
issues, and
yes.
just to remove all references to any monetary values, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's always helping
Yeah, that
me.
totally makes sense. I mean, and one of the things that kind of brings up is when I first was trying to kind of pass the combine. I don't
Yeah,
know what it was, but I got within $300 every time, $300 every time, and it was just like this magic number, and I would end up
yeah,
go into a losing streak for a series of days. And it wasn't until I actually removed any reference to money, right?
yeah,
Where my profits or whatever, and then within
yeah,
3 days, boom,
yeah,
I'm in no issues. So yeah, it's amazing
yeah.
how that works.
It is amazing because it makes you focus on the process rather than
Mhm.
any sort of, monetary value. And, people say, oh, I want to make like 500, or they get so hung up about the 200 per day. So they,
Correct.
oh, I want to get payout. I want to get payout. That's
Correct.
great. But if you're not quite there yet, your primary objective is to keep the account. It's not
Correct.
it's not to make money and get a payout. Like that
Right.
comes in the next stage.
Right. And well, I think
No,
it kind of leads to bad behavior, right? I mean, if you're so focused on the money, then you end up doing things for the money and
yeah,
not things for your process or edge,
yeah,
right? And you end up maximizing things that you really don't have any control over. So,
yeah. Somebody's asking what happened to ES and NQ, because obviously it rallied overnight. I'm
mhm.
just looking to see whether there's anything obvious. I mean, today we have the ECB rate decision. So they could be kind of offloading positions in the run up to that.
Mhm.
Even though it's a European rate decision, it's still a big enough area to impact everybody in the world. So I think everybody will be looking at that. That's coming about 15 minutes before NYMEX opens.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's 1:45 my time. But wherever people are in the world, when NYMEX opens. And if you don't, you need to
Yeah.
learn.
Yes. Yes.
Sounded like Yoda there. You need to learn.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at crude oil right now, and it's looking quite, bullish right
Yeah,
now. So
it
I
is.
don't know
Yeah,
if that fade idea is kind of fading with the wind, I
fading.
guess.
Yes. Well, that's the beauty of looking at market generated information, right? You can have
Yeah.
an idea, it can
Right.
be wrong, and then
Right.
not getting caught up in oh, I was wrong, let me try again. It's like, no, you
Right.
wait for structure. We have an idea, we don't have a
Correct.
price action yet, so now we wait.
Correct.
If something
Correct.
else happens outside of that, it's not up to us to keep chasing. So we need
Right.
to just be patient, maybe find an opportunity in something else. Like I said, crude oil is in rollover, so it's going to do stupid things, weird
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, let's let's just stay patient. You know, again, this is the reason why I don't do London Open exactly at London Open, because not much
Right.
happens. You know, people are
Right.
like, "Let's go," and then you
Right.
sit there watching paint dry, and you're like, "Nothing's happening." Yeah, because this is not New
Yeah.
York, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So apart from that ECB stuff, I don't really see anything else that would affect equities in such a way. Oil news, private survey of inventory shows a headline crude oil draw.
Mm.
So that would be maybe bullish for the crude oil.
Mm-hmm.
And but that was at like 4 a.m. my time. That's like
Yeah. Now, don't we have
9 hours ago.
EIA today?
We have, yes,
Yeah.
we do, yeah.
Yeah. So later this after later.
And that was another reason why we were thinking of fade, because you know
Right.
on EIA days you don't typically see huge rallies until because everybody's waiting for the news, right? So you
Right.
don't
Right.
typically expect to see too many things in crude oil, but here we are. So
Yeah. Now,
it
do you
could.
still trade RBOB, or is that?
Yeah, occasionally, yeah. It hasn't looked that great. In fact, on some of the days when crude oil looked pretty nice and trendy, it looked very range bound. So I think it's that time of the year when maybe the demand for the crude oil derivatives is falling, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe because you always get a bump up in demand for derivatives for the summer, and then they
Right.
have to do like a different mixture for the winter, and that
Right.
causes a basically lack of interest in the derivative products for this period of the year. So maybe that's weighing on it as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I haven't really traded it that much, but it's on my it's on my screen. It's up there. I'm watching it. So yeah,
Yeah.
just because it's up there doesn't mean we have to trade it all the time,
That's
right?
true. That is actually
Yeah,
very true.
yeah. All right. So platinum looked like it was moving for a hot second, but it didn't actually make a move. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna be a quiet Thursday London, which is
Mhm.
great.
Mm.
Maybe copper. Copper is at an interesting level.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I've never looked at copper. Is that what, CU, or what's the symbol?
That's HG on
Oh,
some of our
HT.
platforms. Yeah,
Okay.
but MetaTrader is HP. So
Okay.
CPE. Yeah, CPE
PE.
because
Okay.
it's the CQG symbols. They're always a bit weird.
Okay. Let's see.
But yeah, HG is copper.
What's the ticks? What's the ticks? What's the ticks on that?
1250, and we
Oh.
on Topstep we actually do have micro copper now.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's in rhythmic already because
Uh-huh.
yeah, I haven't really traded micro copper much. It's usually just full copper, so that
Yeah.
could be something to look at.
Okay. We'll see if I can bring that up. Well, it looks like we're getting a little bit of reaction now in crude oil off this little
Oh
sellers
yeah,
stepped in.
let me change to your screen.
So let's see a little selling wicks up on the top there. So that's always a little promising.
Yeah,
What I'd like to do is I'd like to see a new low. I mean, so to take the candle out of the prior candle, I'd
out
like
of
to
the
see it.
consolidation. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to see it close like that, and then that kind of supports my view. So let price prove, my that it's worthy of my capital,
yeah.
kind of
Yes,
thing.
that's
So
a great way to look at it.
yeah,
Right. I
so I
mean,
would,
maybe we could do like a little scalpy fade.
yeah, potentially, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
back down to IB, maybe through IB down to all the way down to the other side of value. Yeah.
Maybe, but because we do have an extension of the initial balance with some single prints there, I would be looking at this as more of a scalpy type situation, but I still want to see a committed
Yeah.
move below these 9 EMAs, below VWAP.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
all
and that's kind of
just
the line that I have there is really around that area you mentioned. So
yeah, yeah. So that settlement from yesterday has caused some reversal. And what's the other green dotted line? What is that?
the green dotted line,
Yeah,
green dotted line.
yeah, right next to the candles that you have. Is it green? I don't
Oh,
know.
that's green.
It's early.
That's my settlement price.
Oh, that is the settlement price, right?
That settlement from yesterday. Yeah,
Right. Okay. Cool.
they're it gold on my screen, but
No, no, but the one below it, like the dotted lines, like right around 70.51 or something.
70.51. Let's see.
The green lines.
I
Yeah.
just drew a dashed green line that's kind of serving as kind of support for me.
Oh, see. Yeah. So you want to see that break. So it's a
I
similar
want to
thing
see
to
that
my
break. I want to
Nadia
see it
base.
close
Yeah.
below. I want to see it close below that before I would even begin to entertain something.
Yeah.
That's kind of my line in the sand, so to speak.
Right.
Would
Yeah.
break
No,
some
it's great.
structure. Would break some structure over here on the left-hand side. You see that line extend all the way across.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of very supportive in the past. Now, the hope is that it will continue down that path. If it does, I want to see that broken.
Yeah. So in the
It
same
would be a new
vein,
low. Yeah.
what I'm looking at is for these 9 EMAs to show me that the price is actually going the other way. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to see one candle that completely closes outside of it. Right now we
Correct.
haven't had that for
Yep.
since we started watching this setup.
Yep.
And for now, there's nothing for us to do. There is a visible range volume profile right in the middle, and we did kind of go over that. But we have to be careful with the visible range volume profile in 100 ticks because as you start moving it, that developing POC is going to move as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a bit discretionary. You
Yeah.
definitely need to know what you want to do with it before you actually get
Correct.
involved. All right, so there's a question from Lazy Lion. If I
Lazy
trade
line.
GC during Asia, hold on, somebody's calling me. If I trade GC during Asia, London, and COMEX, do I take an initial balance into account for each one? I would say yes. That's how I like to do it. So anytime a new exchange opens, that's your new regular trading hours, right? So you have Asia trading hours, you have London regular trading hours, and then you have the real trading hours, the pit hours, the COMEX. So depending on the product that you would trade, usually the NYMEX, COMEX, New York Stock Exchange, and all that would slightly be different for each of the products that you trade. But for London, it's all going to be the same, and for Asia, it's all going to be the same. Now, I prefer to run the Tokyo session when Shanghai exchange opens as well, because at that point, all of the Asian exchanges are open, and you have the most volume trading. Anything before then, I look at it as more of a fake out, just like I look at Frankie fake out for potential counter trend move. That's how I would look at the 1:30 a.m. area my time. So I say area because it's like time of day, time of day as a level. But yeah, so if you have Tokyo opening at my midnight, which is GMT midnight, you will have a lot of fake outs until 1:30 when the real move begins. So it's like 90 minutes into the session, you get all of the Asian sessions active.
Right.
So if you trade Nikkei or something, that's one of the things to look out. All right, so I might try this long copper if I can get it. Whoops. Because long copper is looking like it's is definitely moving. I just need to see what sort of risk I can use in that.
It's always risk first.
It always is, yes. There it is. Okay. Is it gonna cost me a lot? I think this is micros for now because we've moved pretty far out already. So I'm gonna do micro copper because that's our new products, right? MHG. And let's do 5. All right, let's see what that does. And I'm only going to aim up to its own VWAP. So,
Yeah, it's pretty good range there. I like it.
yeah. The only thing that could happen here, I mean, copper generally likes to trend quite a bit more. So if it decides on direction, it is quite possible that it starts moving for
Now,
like the
I don't know.
next 2-3
I
hours.
mean, I could, this could be an ignorant statement here, but it's still within the IB range, right, for UK?
It is. I saw the failed auction.
Okay. Like I said, I haven't. I mean,
Let me see.
maybe this indicator is not capturing this correctly, but I still
Yeah.
haven't
So
tracked the inside.
yeah. So the IB low
Mm-hmm.
was at 429.43, and then we went below that to
Okay.
429.16,
Yeah.
and then it went
I
up.
do see a wick down below. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's technically a failed auction, but like I said, if it starts to turn around, copper is not really much for like reversals and stuff. If it makes up its mind, it tends to overshoot the IB and just kind of keep going, and the
Okay.
direction will vary. It's not always going to
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, let's just go long. So it will be
Mm-hmm.
long, short, long, short. But ballpark, it's like, it's possible that it just keeps going in one direction. But I only want to see it back to overnight VWAP. So
Yeah. Up this level here.
yeah, hold on, let me change your. Yeah, that's it. So it's
Yeah.
my screen. So there it is, micro
Yeah.
copper. About 71 ticks there. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be the biggest trade, but if we do get that, that's going to be 443. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Right, what's happening with crude oil?
Crude oil. It did get below my level there. Now it's responding off the top of IB, so that could be just another location to go
Pullback,
long,
yeah.
right? Not really. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I mean, probably a close back inside IB would be nice,
Yeah.
right? In
Yeah,
order
for
to
now
really
that's still bullish.
embrace it, so
Yeah,
yeah,
not fight it.
it still looks
Yeah.
bullish to me. Yes.
Yeah. So if we were to have any sort of a meaningful reaction, we would be ungluing ourselves from VWAP. So for now, this is just London, quiet, not really deciding on movement, momentum. Just like
Yeah.
we're just ambling around, we're chilling, we're having our coffee, we're just.
Yes.
It's quite
I
funny.
see you're looking at gold here, but I don't think gold's probably doing much of anything.
It's not. Yeah, it's very flat. I have it on my other screen. They're just literally dancing on VWAP, line
Yes.
dancing.
Line
So,
that's a big
yeah.
yes.
Let's
Yes.
let's
I have
get our
hugged,
cowboy hats.
have you hugged your VWAP? You have line dancing on VWAP. I love it.
Yes, line dancing on VWAP and hugging VWAP. We're very
Yes.
hippie over
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
well,
gold for me is a non-event right now. So,
I'm liking your copper. Your copper is
yeah, it's pushing.
pushing. Yes.
Yeah, copper has been a very nice trade occasionally in London. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
it's very quiet until the overlap and then it starts moving. So I
Okay.
don't really manage to find a trade on stream, but I managed to find it like at my midday. And I only
Okay.
finished the stream at 10:30, so that's
Yeah.
like my time.
Now is copper. I'm assuming that's a New York thing as well.
It is, yeah.
Okay. I'll take
Because as soon as the overlap starts, you have the USA waking up and then they start doing the pre-market stuff. And that causes an influx of volume. But it gets a little bit messy in some products. Copper, though, it's actually really smooth. So if you're
Yeah.
looking for something that's really kind of just moving, copper is very lovely. It's a decently thick market, not like the thickest. It's still
Yeah.
on the thin side, but it
Yeah.
just doesn't have those whips up and down and
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. The
Gold can
NASDAQ.
be a little bit twitchy, and Nasdaq, yeah, we know what it does. So yeah.
So what I like about this, I'm seeing a kind of a volume delta on the bottom here in the corn, and I'm starting to see the positive DI kind of tick up here a little
Yeah.
bit as well.
Yeah.
So
See
that's
that
all.
too.
That's all good news for those who are interested in longs in
Yeah.
the market. For sure. So
And what I'm seeing, why I went in, is that we started popping with quite some strength above these 9 EMAs on 100 tick charts.
mhm,
And again, I don't have bookmaps, so this is sort of like my replacement for
mhm.
it. And usually when that happens, you see quite a big, like quite big bubbles, big bulls stepping into the
Oh,
market. Yeah,
right.
and then they just need to like keep pushing. Yeah, I always
Mm.
joke. People are like, "Oh, the bubbles," but I call
The
them
bubbles.
balls.
Balls. Nice.
The bigger the balls, the better.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That this probably wouldn't fly too well for most audience over on this end, but
Yeah, I think they're old enough because
yeah,
these streams are marked not for kids. So while
that's
we don't
true.
want to
That's
be like
true.
swearing like idiots and
That's
stuff,
true.
but
That's true.
saying big
Yeah,
balls is not really that bad, is it? Especially because they are big balls, they're big bubbles.
right. Yes, yes. Yeah, no, I was at Rips. I don't know who's it. I don't know whose
Yeah.
screen I've seen sometimes, and I don't really understand how he makes any sense out of that. But
Yeah, from what I've seen, he uses a combination of options levels and then whatever bookmap bubbles do around it.
yeah,
That would be my guess because I
yeah,
look at option flows as well, as you know,
yeah.
and yeah, a lot of those levels line up with that.
Hmm.
And if you actually convert SPX option levels into NQ, it becomes a lot clearer.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you're just looking at pure price action, because to me, Nasdaq is kind of like a derivative of SPX and ES to a degree.
Right.
It
Right.
is its own tech index, but at the end of the day, it's still it's still comprised of certain companies that are also in some of the other
Mhm, mhm.
indices, however you say it.
Yeah, I've heard someone say yesterday, said, "Well, I look at I look at Apple to see what a Nasdaq is going to do. So it's to see if
Yeah,
they see for a correlation." And I
yeah,
think, haven't looked into that, but I could see how that could work.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I have looked at it because I've had some coaching clients who did trade Nasdaq to
Hmm.
my disappointment. Um,
Yeah.
so I had to look at it, and sometimes it's quite fun doing an end of day Nasdaq trade if it's like a
Yeah.
super obvious thing. Even though
Yeah.
most days I will stick to ES, but
Yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
Nasdaq just looks better. So
Right.
I will express my position there. But I never traded during the day. I very rarely traded sort of post and white card lunchtime. No, I wait for power hour and usually the last sort
Hour.
of 30 minutes to see
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
I've got a trade there. And
Yeah. Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
there is one.
Yeah. Oh, another market to look at here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, crude oil is slowed down now massively, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. My bearish idea is probably not in the cards.
Well, it still might, but we need time because
Time.
we had single prints that were closed.
Hmm.
I would be a little bit suspicious of this going into like some bad trend because we did have a reversal, right? So it's still possible
Yeah.
to maybe catch a reversal, but let's maybe give it a little bit more time
Hmm.
to see if it can print that price agreement. So anytime you have a consolidation, a
Right.
range,
Right.
especially during any hours that are relevant, that comprises price agreement, right? So it's like
Hmm.
you want to see time going by, structure
Hmm.
being built, and then
Hmm.
if the top stays, then you know that that's a valid reversal trade. So patience there. I know you have endless patience, Ray. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
I'm
one
pretty
of your
good with
problems.
I'm pretty good with patience.
Yeah.
I'm a predator trader. So
Yes. That was one of the most impressive things about Ray when we worked
yeah,
together. He
yeah,
would be religiously doing just one trade per day. Whatever
yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
doesn't matter. He's like, that was my trade. I
That was
tried
my
it.
trade.
I'm walking
Mm,
away.
I'm
And
walking away.
sometimes most times we get like 2 hour, 1 hour, one
Right,
and a half hour.
right.
You're also very good at just taking what's there and not
Mm,
getting married to the trade. So
correct.
all of that are good qualities to have as
Thank
a
you. Thank
trader.
you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I would say maybe the biggest challenge I would say is once I've kind of set my mind on a particular direction, is to kind of change my view.
Yeah.
I was in a session yesterday, and we were talking about this value acceptance trade in YM, and
Hmm.
we got to the other end of value, and a comment back with me, well, did you take the reversal? I said, look, I just got out of a good trade. I don't need to jump in
Yeah.
into another trade, right? I need to kind of figure things out a little bit. Maybe distance myself with the idea of maybe a continuation bullish trade. I just don't flip flop My mind doesn't work
Yeah,
that way.
flipping and
Yeah.
flopping is one of my mental triggers.
Yeah.
That's something that is very bad for most people,
Yeah.
and there are only very few situations with that when that would be actually a valid thing
Right.
to do. Flipping and
Right.
flopping, right? And
Right.
to me, after we've had a finished value acceptance, it's it usually goes, if I look at it statistically, because we've done research around it with my team,
Yeah.
it will go further than the value.
Yeah.
Now if you're far
That's
away,
exactly it.
yeah,
That's exactly it.
sometimes
Yeah.
if it's range bound, then
Yeah.
those edges of value, especially on equities, can be reversal points. But
Right.
most times, if you have a value acceptance, that's, we're accepting value from yesterday, it's
Right.
just going to keep going. And the amount of times that I see people fading the edges of value post
Yeah.
acceptance and then getting smacked in the face,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
don't do
It's
that.
cringe.
Like, why do you want to go into another trade? Just like
Yeah.
chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a trade, have a timeout. Go
Correct.
take a
Exactly.
walk.
Do
Yeah.
something else for 15 minutes, and if it comes back and you still like
Yeah.
your idea, go for it. Right.
Yeah. And
So
you know what that is? I'm 100% sure it's all just a dopamine rush.
yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
dopamine. It's like, I
Yeah.
had a winning trade. I won another one.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. Absolutely,
no.
absolutely. Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
kind of the comment. It was not they didn't want to understand what the trade what I took the trade that I took. They
Yeah.
were asking me what the
They were
trade I
asking
didn't
for more
take.
trades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the trade I
Yeah.
didn't take. I said, well, it may seem obvious, right, after the fact, but in the moment, it's not always easy. And I think, like you said, I think it's a good quality in some ways to not be so willing to throw away your plan, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it's not in your plan, you shouldn't be really trading it unless
Correct,
something markedly has changed. You get new
correct.
news, everything goes nuts.
Yeah.
Obviously, you will have to redo the plan. But I always find redoing plans on the fly fraught with difficulty because you already have all of that dopamine rush
Yeah, yeah.
or frustration if people have started
Correct.
with like losing trades and stuff, and then all of that mixes into your decisions, and whenever we are in that emotional state, you won't
Mhm.
make good decisions. So that's
No,
why
not
I
at all.
always say to people, make your
No.
plans outside
Yeah,
of the heat of the moment. So
yeah,
maybe at the start of the market open, but don't start making your plans as you're in a trade, because you're
correct,
going to have those lenses of
correct.
bias moves because you want your trade to work. So everything's going to be
Yes,
colored by
yes,
your desire for the trade to work.
correct. Yeah, I think that goes for both sides, right? If you've just
Yeah.
lost a trade for whatever reason, you've hit your stop loss, what have you, or if you just had a winning trade, go off and do something, for 15 minutes, kind of recollect and see if you can get yourself back to a kind of Zen state, so to speak, so
Yeah.
that you can come back and look at the markets more objectively. Because yes, either you're going to look at it rose-colored glasses, or you're going to try to potentially go on tilt and
Yeah.
try to recoup losses that you had just made, right? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back at the market. So, well, the market's not gonna get back, even though they don't really
No,
care what you
they don't care
do.
what you want. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
And we have to, the staying objective, I think, is one of the toughest things to do in
mm-hmm,
trading,
mm-hmm,
because you want everything to work out. You want more out of the market. We
mm-hmm.
saw Susan yesterday. That's it, like your typical dopamine high,
Yep,
and doesn't want to
yep.
take 16 grand on the day. It's like, you made 16
Wow,
grand. Like, even if you
it's
take
crazy.
8, even if you take
Yeah,
3 out of it, that's a
yeah,
great
yeah, yeah,
smashing day. Like, what is
yeah,
going on
yeah,
there?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
think some of those people would need to go to counseling, cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm not kidding. I honestly
yeah,
think that cognitive behavioral therapy would be
yeah,
the right step there, because there's
yeah,
something
yeah,
going on. Like, obviously that's not
yeah.
normal. You don't just
No,
throw away 18 grand for
no.
nothing.
No. I mean, I usually tell people, like, if you've exceeded your profit goals for the day, readjust your risk parameters, right? You should not have anything in the red, right?
Yeah.
You should take whatever that, if normally it's $1,000 you make for profit and you're at the $2,000 number, but you feel like you have a hot hand or hot eyes, I guess,
Yeah.
then cut that in half. Your new
Yeah.
daily loss limit is $1,000 in profit.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
still allows you to
Exactly.
trade. I think the worst thing that someone could do is be in profit for $2,500 and then reverse that to $3,000 in
Yeah.
in losses. I think that's
Yeah.
horrible for the
I
mindset.
think one time Mick pulled me up because what what happened was, I was in a crude oil trade, and I was up
Mm,
like 1.2k, and
yeah,
like I wasn't too happy that he pulled me out because I don't think I could have reacted in any other way because news came out. And
Right.
within like 3.5 seconds, it
Yes.
went to my, and the platform couldn't keep up either. So
Correct.
by the time that I noticed that what was happening, I actually did give back 1.2K.
Yeah.
But I still took it off, not at like minus 3K. I still
Yeah.
took it
Yeah.
off at like 0. But Mick was still like, Dee, show the tap. I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's something. Like I said, you start to maybe greed kicks in, whatever
Yeah.
it is, and people just want more and more. And
Yeah.
I think you could really do yourself a service by saying, you know what, I'm going to readjust my daily loss limit so that I leave at least in profit, because that's the best thing. That's kind of like balsam for the mind. Knowing that you've executed well, and then left with profit, and come into another new day. So
Yeah, exactly. And you will feel good. Like you need to be high on those kind of things. Like for example, if you say to yourself, I'm only going to do 2 trades today. And it doesn't matter
Yep.
what happens to those 2 trades. You need to
Right.
sort of detach yourself from the outcome and just
Right.
be happy that you followed your rules, that you
Yeah,
had the 2
absolutely.
trades. Walk away. That's
Absolutely.
the stuff that we
Absolutely.
need to take joy in,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like, oh, I lost money. No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
followed rules, right?
Correct.
That is what this is all about. Losses will happen. It is a
Yeah, that's just
perfectly
part of the
normal.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah, part
yeah.
of the business. Right.
In fact, don't look at it as losses. Look at it as an
No,
expense. You
no,
paid
yeah,
some money to
correct.
find some
Get some information.
information. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, you don't have to be 100% correct to be profitable in this business, right? It's just a matter of, picking the right trades,
Yeah.
that have the right risk reward, and the profits will come. It's just us demanding perfection, I think
Yeah.
is
There's no
not a good,
perfection in this
no
business.
perfection in trading. And
No.
if you do talk to somebody that says that, run away.
Yes, exactly. Run for the hills.
Yes.
All right, so we have some more questions. What are those candles on the right?
Oh, that's my
Marius wants
little
to know.
overlay. That's my
Yeah.
little overlay that I was telling you about. So I've in the past I would split my screen in half. I
Yeah.
would have like the 4-hour chart on the left and the 15-minute chart on the right, and I would kind of toggle between the two. But then I felt like I was giving up so much real estate, right? That I could be looking at maybe other things, and so I found this overlay on TradingView. I shouldn't popularize that too much, but on TradingView, there's this overlay that allows, and this is I can maybe show this a little bit if we over here I can pick the time frame that I want this overlay to have. So if I wanted to have a daily chart displayed here on the right, I can just change it to daily and I get a daily view, right?
Right.
So it
That's pretty
allows me to
cool.
do quickly, allows me to do a multi-time, because as you know, sometimes we get so gravitated into the lower time frame,
Yeah.
we lose sight of the upper time frame context.
Yep.
So this is kind of the way to keep me kind of grounded. It says, well, the best thing would be for me to align it up with the higher time frame. So if I can line it up with the direction of the higher time frame, I'm golden. I have the momentum behind me, the sort of the tsunami of price behind me is
And
going to move in.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, and Bigfoot, yes, Bigfoot, yes. So that's
Because
another.
yeah, that's a Rayism. So yeah,
Iteration, yeah.
anytime you're aligning your intraday time frame with the larger time frame, it means
Right.
that in order for anyone to make their imprint on the large time frames, they're gonna have deep pockets because there's so much trading information there. So if you can align those two, and then your trade starts going in a lot of profit, it's because the institutions have stepped in. The Bigfoot has stepped in.
Yeah.
It appeared.
So I call those Bigfoot,
Yeah.
Bigfoot tiding. So on the bull side, I call him Bigfoot, and then on the bear side, I call it his evil sister.
Oh right.
So
I like that.
yeah.
All
But
right.
yeah, so that's what the overlay is about. Like I said, it keeps me grounded. It keeps me aligned with the general direction. So I mean, looking at this, it tells me that I really shouldn't be really considering short trades. I mean, long trades, right? Because the
Downtrend,
direction, the
yeah.
slope is down, right? So I should be looking for locations where I can fade this market, right? That's my job as a risk manager. That's what I need to look for, right?
So
Insurance agent.
let's say now
Yeah.
this keeps going higher. right?
Yeah.
Where would your next point of interest be? Would you chase
Um,
this?
I,
I know the
yeah,
answer, but people don't. So,
yeah, I would probably look at the high of day here around 71-ish. So I mean, maybe this level here, I would probably draw, something along these kind of lines. That would be kind of my next logical location. I look to the left, I see that there's been sellers here in the past. So this would be kind of an area that I would want to set an alert for, right? Once I get within about 10% of that area. Because the thing is, um, uh, does good price stay for long? Right?
no,
If I'm looking
usually,
for
yeah,
if
usually no.
I'm looking for a good sell price, it's not going to hang out there for very long, right? So if it's going to behave the way I'd expect it to behave, I look to the left and see, oh, this is an area where it's sold off in the past. This would be the next logical area. If we manage to crush this area, this would be the next logical area I would look for a reversal. Yeah.
I'm just looking at some larger volume profile as well.
But yeah, 71. The nice thing about that level is also, kind of a whole number, psychological number.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the
so
thing
yeah,
with psychological numbers is that they almost always have some sort of options activity around them.
hmm
And you can guarantee that, almost guarantee that somebody is looking to do
yeah,
something with the round number,
yeah,
especially if it's like twice removed. So if you
right.
kind of started the move from 70 and then you're
hmm
sort of looking at maybe 72, well, you know there's going to be some sellers there, even as a little scalp. They're not just going
Right,
to keep running through it after they've come up 200 ticks. So
right.
that's something that I take into consideration: the length of the move that it took to get to my next level, and
hmm
then the bigger that move is, within the reason. Obviously, if it's like 700 ticks, then I'm probably going to stay out. But generally, if we've had a normal day right about that area, it's like 200 ticks higher, you will be hitting some sort of algorithmic exhaustion of averages, right?
Right.
And there are algorithms that look out for that. That's why my average session and daily ranges are pretty accurate on a lot of the days,
hmm
because of that. Because that there's institutions that use the average ranges to either take positions off or
Right.
to engage in new ones. And both of those activities, they will cause more, let's say if we're long, so if they're taking off their positions, what's that? Well, it's a short, right? So you
hmm
get a whole bunch of cells around the area. And that's why some of these inflection points and some of the reversal areas that we are looking at, they work so well. But
Yeah.
you have to be very patient to look out
Yeah,
for
I
them.
just
Yeah.
I just tell people, well, where should I look for it?
Yeah.
Just look to the left, right? Look to the left
Yeah.
and see what,
Look left. Yeah.
price has done before, right?
Yeah.
And that gives you an idea of what to do. Now we're starting to kind of pick up some sellers again in the crude oil, so we'll see.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Usually we tend to get a setup of some sort
Yeah.
towards the end of the stream, which is
Oh, nice.
slightly annoying, but yeah. All right,
Yeah,
let's
but
have
this
some more
this is looking a
questions.
little bit better now, for
Yeah, it
sure.
is looking a little better. Like I said, time needs to go by. Even if they could have reversed it at VWAP, what tends to happen during London is that they take forever to do that. They're
Uh,
like, we got up to VWAP. Now we're going to
yeah.
amble around here because we don't have
Yeah,
enough
yeah, yeah.
volume to take it anywhere higher, but we don't know
Line
whether we were
dancing
going to
on,
take it the other way. It's
yes.
like,
Yes.
yeah. All right, so we have a question from Alan Minar. What time of day is settlement for CL? All right, so in Eastern time zone, that's 2:30 p.m. So,
hmm
quite a ways off. And in Central time is an hour earlier, so 1:30 p.m. If you're over on this side of the world, so if you're in London or UK, that is 7:30 p.m. So it's pretty late in the day.
Yeah.
Natalie wants to know what my average holding time is. Usually 45 minutes. If I look at
Yeah.
all of the trades that I've done over the years and years and years, it
Yeah.
comes up with 45 minutes. But I do hold some of my trades for much longer than that and some of my trades for much shorter than that. It will depend on the context, the level. However, ballpark, I am more of a semi-swing trader, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
So effectively, I like to hold my trades a little bit longer. So I'm not a
Yeah.
scalper by nature, But if a scalping opportunity presents itself like yesterday in gold, so we were just under that area of call resistance, and I was looking for a flush towards not a flush, but a push towards that level. And I took my 20 ticks, and that was the first trade of the day.
Yeah.
And platinum took its sorry time. So platinum took about 4 hours to actually do what it needed to do. So I sat on it. So that was like a scalp and then a longer time frame trade.
Yeah.
All in the
No,
same.
I like to. I don't. The amount of I guess the amount of time you take sometimes on trades and the length at which you hold them is
Yeah.
very commendable when I'm watching it from afar, because I look at it sometimes and then you might call this more grasshopping out of trades.
Yeah.
But I remember, I'm out of the trade and Dee is still holding this trade
Yeah.
for another an hour and a half, right? So it's
But then,
definitely.
you know why? It's because I use that time of day as a level concept. It's not that
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to hold this now forever. Especially with crude oil, I know how it breathes and behaves.
Correct.
So if I'm
Correct.
going to, let's say, post and my cut trade, they didn't really do that much, but I'm sort of sitting around 35 ticks profit.
Right.
I will let it go all the way to like half hour before settlement.
Yeah.
And that's like 3-4 hours. So that's why you see me
Right.
kind of holding trades and you're like, Dee, well, how long are you going to hold this? And I'm like, I'm holding.
No, I mean,
and I would usually
I
tell
wish
you
I
as
had,
well.
I wish I had the mental fortitude to, and honestly, I cannot watch. I would not be able to sit there and watch that happen.
I don't watch it. Like I wouldn't be able to sit there and watch it either. I go and do some other things. I go walk my dogs,
Yeah.
or I go cook, or I go jet wash the garden. That's another thing I like doing.
Yeah. Set it and forget it, right? So
Yeah, set it and forget it. That's right.
Yeah.
But also, it's a matter of that old saying: the big secret of patience is doing something else in between. So it's a very valuable thing. If you are in a longer time frame trade and you don't want to do grasshoppering in and out, like hopping around, and basically micromanaging, over-managing yourself and the trades that's happening. Just go do something else. Like nothing's gonna. If you've got your stop, you've got your targets, you're done. Like just
what's the worst thing that happen? You get hit.
you lose. Boo.
Yeah. We move on. Move on to the next
Yes,
trade.
exactly. Yeah. And the more you do that, the more you get confidence in those sorts of trades, the easier it will be to actually let them go. So while I don't like sleeping through a trade, although I have done that with a couple of Nikkei trades recently, I will absolutely walk away and not look at it for an hour. And then I come back and I'm like, okay, still in.
Yeah.
Nothing else to do. What's the time? Right. Another 30 minutes.
Yeah. I'd have to be honest, to be able to do that kind of thing, I would have to be at an extreme, whether it's like ADR high or ADR low or something along those lines. I can use the ADR, ASR line, kind of as my fence, so to speak. And I could put my stop and just walk away from it because I feel like I'm at an extreme level, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm at an extreme level, then I'm good. It's when these kind of trades like this one right here, you're kind of in the middle-ish, right?
Yeah.
And you really don't know which direction it's going to go. That makes it a bit challenging for me. Although, I mean, I do have, value area high here as kind of a line in the sand, so to speak, or settlement price as a line in the sand. So it could work, but the middles just kind of feel like I need to be more active, more on it.
Absolutely. Like middles will always minimize the probability of the trade, no matter how good the setup looks on an intraday level. Structurally, it's in the middle, so that introduces obviously lower odds into probabilities.
A lot of combines have been lost in the middle, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I mean, whenever people come to me, they're like, "Oh, let's work together." I've blown through 20 combines in the last month, and I'm like, "Whoa, okay." But then I look at the trades that they're doing, and it's almost always diddling in the middle. Always in the middle. And I'm like, just wait for the swing extreme. And then once they get that, so I let it go. I let go the move to the extreme. Yes, don't chase it. They get chopped up chasing it, right? They're like long, short, they're long, they're short, they're long. And that's because in the middle, it can be difficult to pick a direction, especially out of hours, right?
Right.
But even during the regular trading hours, there would be a lot of mess that happens in the middles. And then you get to the swing extreme, And that's where the decision making about whether you want to be a buyer or a seller comes in, right? It's like, are we gonna sell there? Because why? And if you can explain it to yourself,
Yeah.
that becomes even better to find reasons why your trade idea would be valid. So we have a way of looking at the swing extreme. We have a way of looking at whether it's maybe at the ADR, ASR. I look at call and put option levels for an additional confluence. And we also look at time of day, because time of day for me is incredibly important. Because if something is reaching a level outside of the time of day when that's supposed to happen, and I can make that statement now after 17 years of staring at the markets day in, day out. But, if I was a newer trader, I would be like, what is she talking about? There's no way she can. But there's like mechanistic things that happen in the markets every single day. So Ray, my post NY cut option expiry on crude oil and gold. Why? Because we have the forex cut options expiring at that time of day. So naturally, there's this influx of extra volume that on many days, like up to 77% of days, you get some sort of a reversal. Now, how big and how long it's going to last, that's down to the context. However, the time of day for reversals in crude oil is almost always to a degree of 77% after 10 a.m. New York, right?
Right.
So if I then see a reversal happening outside of that, I will be highly suspicious of it. I was like, that's out of hours. What are you doing? And then I will not take it, because it's like, no, the reversals always happen later on, not now, which means that either maybe we're going to reverse again. So you get one reversal for IB, you might get another reversal. What's that? Another failed auction, right? So putting that time, attaching time to your decision making based on whatever you've observed happening at that time of day can actually stop you from doing stupid things, and it can introduce a bigger framework, a systematic framework into any level.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, if you do consistent things, you get consistent results. It's when we do inconsistent things and we wonder why we don't get consistent results.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're systematic about our approach and we look for trades at certain times, and we look at trades for certain levels, then over time we have the I guess the law of large numbers work in our favor, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, let's shoot through these questions now. Desmond Manson says, Dee, is there a price correlation between GC and copper? Sometimes it positively correlates by inverse in the past few days. I don't think that copper and gold are that correlated. So yes, there will be times when it's usually something to do with the economy. Now, I always confuse these things, and I've been a little bit under the weather as well. So I think when the economy is doing badly, I think copper goes up. And if there's and vice versa, right? So if there's a perception of something happening with the economy, copper will be pretty reactive to that. Now, gold, again, has its own things. It was used to hedge against inflation traditionally, but some of those relationships have broken down in the last several years, especially since COVID, when no one knew what the hell was going on, and gold and equities were all going in the same direction. So now you see a lot of those days still, unless we have a risk off or risk on day, when you will get the traditional negative correlation. But copper and gold, I wouldn't read too much into it, to be honest. I mean, I look at all the metals as a whole, but if copper is breaking out into a trend and gold is not doing that, I don't care what gold is doing. So let's just put it that way. Yeah. So I don't think you have to watch gold in order to trade copper. It's not like the sisters. It's not like NASDAQ and ES.
Well, platinum might be something to be correlated with gold.
Hey, you would think so, but platinum trends a lot more. So I've seen days where platinum goes on a 200-tick run, and gold is just like, we're doing something? I'm just going to stay at the same level for 4 hours. It's like,
I'm drinking my tea. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm just starting my day. This is too active for me. I'm not a morning person.
Right.
So yeah, and platinum just kind of starts shooting up or down. And you're like, what happened there? And then you try to find the correlations, and there's nothing. There's like nothing.
Nothing there.
Yeah. All right. So how to add multiple charts on Topstep platform. Okay. So if you see this You don't
Yeah, there's
see,
no
but
gap
you
to
will
it.
see now. Yeah. So there is a little select layout button on Topstep, right?
Right.
So that's where it is. If you click on that, it will show you the option to have one chart.
Yeah.
If you want to add another one, you can add two side by side. If you want to add four of them, you can go down here and then you can have four charts.
Yeah.
So you can pick and choose whichever one, whichever layout you like. I like the two because I think I can increase them and, everybody can see what's going on. And then if I need to, increase some candles, I can just do that.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can kind of see what's going on because we're
Yeah.
not old.
I used to use this kind of layout to support my, higher time frame on one side,
Yeah,
longer time frame shorter time frame on the right.
yeah.
And that helped me kind of ground me on the, general direction of what the higher time frame is saying. So
Yeah, so I have my charting on my Bloodtick indicators on MetaTrader 5 from AMP Futures, but if you wanted to have, like, let's say multiple time frames, so let's see. So I have the 100-tick chart here. The only thing that's annoying about this is that I can't undock my screens, like the charts, and then kind of dot them wherever I want to dot them. I think
Right.
one of the web-based platforms had that, but it didn't work that well, so it's probably a little bit tricky to do. But let's say that you want to keep an eye on a 30-minute chart, and you want to keep an eye on a 4-minute chart, 4-minute chart, whoops,
Yeah.
4-minute, meaning 4 hours. And then you want to keep an eye out on the daily chart. My mouse mat just fell down, hold on. I had a house viewing yesterday, so I had to remove stuff. So yeah, this is what it looks like if you have all of these, and then you can basically not get zoomed in to a very low time frame, and you can just see, it's supposed to be copper, you can just see what it looks like on all of these different time frames. So you go, okay, so 100-tick chart showing still a slowdown, potential reversal. Where are we? We're at an option level that could bring us some longs. What's going on a 30-minute chart? Well, we're still underneath the 9 EMAs. But having said that, no candle is actually closing completely outside of it, right? So slow down in prices. We are going over the first EMA and not really having follow through. 4-hour chart looks bearish, right? It does look bearish. We smashed through the low. So this could be against the low time frame trade. Where are we on the daily chart? Well, we have some demands here, right?
Correct.
We have some demands. And I don't know what this line is. I think it's a point of control from...
Yeah.
So we have point of control on a very large time frame daily, along with some demands there. So there's merit that we go higher from here because we are hitting demands. And this would be the layout that I would suggest for anyone who's getting too zoomed into low time frames, because it will keep you grounded, right? And if the trade doesn't look great, well, maybe you want to reconsider that. So yeah. All right, let's have a look at some of the other questions, and then we will be out. Isabel says, could you please explain how the DMI helps in reading the chart?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, Ray, you use DMI quite a lot. I use it, but not that much.
Yeah, it's for me, it's kind of a secondary indicator. I mean, it's a way to understand momentum. If the momentum is in the direction of your trade, that's kind of what I look for it. It's more of a trade management kind of thing for me. I don't use it as my primary. It's kind of, I see price is a good location. Maybe I'm already in a trade, and I'm looking at to see if there's momentum following this trade in much the same way I use volume. So I use it more as a trade management kind of technique, and allows me to manage my trade. I think that's probably the best use of it.
So yeah, I see that Sebastian's saying, how do I get the ADR indicator? Don't find it. I don't see it in Topstep. So Ray is on TradingView. We don't really have the ADR and ASR indicator yet in Topstep. The ASR is kind of my concept. Well, it's not kind of, it is my concept. I basically went and took the regular trading hours, and apply the average range calculation because I needed it. Now I see a lot of people are using it, so I probably should have put some sort of copyright on it. but you know, when something is useful to people, it will naturally live out into go out into the community. But if you want to find ADR and ASR levels that Ray posts, you have to go to TopstepTV. So there are levels on the website. You can find them in your email as well because they do get sent out, and then they are on a page where you can see everybody's levels. So if you find Coach Ray's levels, you will find those in there. All right. Hi guys, do you use Edgeful? Yeah, I use Edgeful. I know Andre pretty well. So he and I actually talked about bringing the TPO value area. So the reason why you got the TPO values on the charts on Edgeful data is because of me. I asked him. I said, can we have TPOs? And he's like, how do you calculate that? So we had a session where I was explaining to him how to obtain that. And you're going to find those stats in indicators, TPO, time price opportunity. Now, the only thing that I wanted to see here, oh no, he added it. Okay, that's great. So you have custom sessions now. Initially, he only had like New York and then London. That's actually a wrong start time. But now you have custom sessions. So you can actually look at how many times we're opening above value and then touching the value area, and you can even go by weekday. So yes, I do use Edgeful, and if you can see today, Thursday, if it opens below value, 67% of the times the value area will get touched. But there's a caveat to that. If you go by size, the larger the size, the less probabilities are. However, still, if you're opening below value, even if you have a gap of about 1% up to 1.5%, that's still a 60% probability that it's going to get touched. However, if it opens above value on a Thursday and it's a large gap, it ain't happening, right? So you have 64% of probability that it's not going to get there. So you would probably need to match it with other things in order for this 36% to be valid. But you go down to a smaller gap, 0.4 to 0.7%, and that's a pretty high probability setup too. So, you know, watch out for the size of the gap in relation to the value and use these to make better trading decisions, right?
Yeah.
All right, so final... do we have a final question? I think that's about it. I don't see any new questions unless I missed something in the chat. VO1 says, I was going to say I made a free indicator on TradingView. It's called VO1 Reminders, and it's for putting these reminders on your chart. The secret of patience is to do something else in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, so let's leave it on that. That's a very nice, positive notes to leave the session on. I do have some plugs before we go. So obviously we have the Topstep VIP. We have Coach Hoop now with his own team. Pit Raiders, which kind of confused me because when I heard it, my Twitter username is Pip Raider, right? And I was like, Pip Raider? I didn't agree to any. What's that? And then they said Coach Hoop, but I'm like Pit Raiders.
Yeah, Pit Raider.
Yeah, if you're one of the people who won one of the 50 spots, you will be getting an email. So you should have gotten an email, I think, already. And we're going to be adding more VIP teams. So next team is Coach Paul's Profiteers. So we're going to be drafting for that. Yeah. I love Coach Paul. He's like so knowledgeable. So insightful.
Yes.
Have you worked with him much?
He was part of the coaching program from the beginning, and we've had some overlap in some meetings, but yeah, he's very insightful. Does not the most, I would say, talkative person, but what comes out, is good. Very good.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's pretty funny when he
perk up
does
and listen. You perk up and listen, right?
Yeah, well, he's very funny when he does talk. I think he's a bit of a dark horse because he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm wise.
Right,
Um,
right, right,
and then
right.
when
But
he
when he
says
says something, you
something,
want to pay attention,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And he
Yeah,
always makes so much sense.
yeah.
So, yeah, if you are interested in joining Coach Paul's team, stay tuned into Topstep TV main
Mm,
broadcast for the
mm.
chance to get into it, right? So, we are going to be
Excellent.
dropping the check in forms periodically over the next month. So, it's not
Mm,
going to be just one day, it's going to be over the next month.
mm.
And those who check in the most will have the highest chances of getting that VIP
Wow,
spot.
excellent.
Now, I will be with you guys again later on today. Hopefully, my voice is going to survive. But yeah,
Mm.
we have Trading with Topstep, newest segment on Topstep TV. So, me and Jay, Coach Jay, we're going to be joined by Grace S. from Minnesota. And we're going to be trading with her today. Now, if you're interested in taking part and trade with Topstep, I'm going to drop a link in the chat so you can apply. This is a casting call, so if you want to come hang with us, trade with us, ask us questions, that is the form. Do I have anything else? Yeah, so just Topstep TV socials. If you didn't know, we have Instagram as well and Twitter. So join us over there for some fun. Topstep TV. There we go. So that's the Instagram. And the final link is Twitter or X platform. There we go. So Topstep TV now has a dedicated platform. Now, before we go, I'm just going to drop my Eurex upvoting thing. I'm trying to get Eurex into Topstep X, and
Mm, mm.
it's one of those things. So
Yeah,
if you want Eurex and DAX and everything, please upvote this. You
yeah.
just need to be, you don't even need Topstep X, you just need to be logged in through Google and Facebook. We need DAX, right? London, the main session is Eurex, LSE, so we need DAX. Please upvote that. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to let everybody go. Coach Ray, thank you so much for joining me. It was always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Any final words?
No, just continue. Continue trading your process. Continue just to focus on getting good setups, and the dollars that we desire will come.
Excellent. All right, guys, this has been London Session on Topstep TV. I'm Deeyana Angelo. That was Coach Ray. We'll see you again very soon.